What's going on, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. So I had no intention of making a video right now. My mindset was on making a musical playlist, but I didn't have anything in mind there either. Then something came across the news feed that I thought was worth talking about. So here I am. The Los Angeles Lakers, if the reports are true, are curious about giving Isaiah Thomas a opportunity with this team. Lately, he's been just lighting up whatever league he's in. I mean, when I say lighten up, he looks like old Celtics Isaiah Thomas in that league. And he's putting up 81 points, 60-something points in another game. It's been some really legendary stuff that he's been doing out there, albeit against lesser talent. But it shows you that he's sharp, he's in shape, and that his shot's falling. And you know, if Isaiah Thomas' shot is falling, he can hit it repeatedly at a Hall of Fame level. That's what we know. We have no question about that. The Laker fans here, we know of Isaiah Thomas. We had him about 4 years ago. I liked Isaiah Thomas's tenure with this team, but we weren't a winning team. We had the kids, so the stakes were lower. There wasn't a whole lot of expectations, but he played very well for this team. My concern with Isaiah Thomas, he turned the ball over a little more than I liked him to, and he tended to be on the ground a lot for a player his size. Obviously he's a smaller guy, but he just seemed to literally every play he's picking himself off the floor. I thought that was kind of funny. So those are two things that kind of stood out with his tenure with us. But for me, looking at this particular team, he fits much better. I know that sounds kind of silly, being that he's a smaller guy, and you have to hide him defensively. He's not going to be able to help you there, but he'll get open shots. He'll be able to pick his spots. He will be a player who LeBron James and Russell Westbrook, when they're on the floor with him, will be able to utilize. See, when we had Isaiah Thomas, there was no LeBron James. So in this situation, he would be yet another weapon, offensive weapon, that we would be kicking the ball out to for open shots. So it's like, that's a no-brainer. This is about as good a fit as you're going to find in the entire league for a guy like Isaiah Thomas, because what he's not going to be is relied upon at all to be defensively, because we're not that good of a defensive team anyway. So it's not like he's helping or hurting us there. And any team that you would want to bring Isaiah Thomas to should have a player like Anthony Davis in place to help erase some of the mistakes that are going to be created by the fact that he's not going to be a defensive player. You're playing 4-on-5 when he's on the floor defensively. So you need a player like Anthony Davis. We have Anthony Davis. So that makes more sense even than most fits anywhere else. If anyone were going to give him an opportunity, you would want that type of situation in place. Another thing that you want to see for Isaiah Thomas is no pressure to play the point guard position at all to start at the point guard position. You don't want to rely upon him at all at this stage in the game, obviously, and you don't want him to be one of your main guys in your rotation. You just kind of want to be able to use him as a specialty weapon, and we have the role for that here. And if it gets to a point where we can't use him, we have plenty of guards that can do what he does. But the wonderful thing about having Isaiah Thomas is yet another Hall of Fame caliber talent down there with open shots coming their way. That's what I see. I know Isaiah Thomas is probably not going to make the Hall of Fame. I'm saying Hall of Fame talent for a reason, because I looked at him and what he displayed in his MVP season and understood. Coupled that with everything he had done, being drafted as the last player in the draft that 1 year with Sacramento, and then having a phenomenal rookie season, going to Phoenix and having a three-headed monster point guard situation be the case because of what he had been able to accomplish that far into his career. He was already that great to where he was putting together what you would consider somewhat of a super dynamic with those guards. Him, Bledsoe, and of course, Devin Booker was in that rotation, and there was one more player too that it's just skipping my mind right now. But they had a rotation of guards that was pretty lethal there. But that wasn't a good fit, obviously, for that same reason. Moved him on to Boston, and of course, we know what happened in Boston. He was an MVP caliber player, and then got hurt and wasn't able to make the money that he was supposed to make, which would have been legendary money for him and his family. But he's been able to keep himself in an NBA uniform. I believe he played with the Washington Wizards a year and a half ago. Last we saw him, played, of course, as I said, for the Lakers. And this is the best shape we've heard of him being in since getting hurt with the Celtics. Right now, he is playing back at the level that you know him to play. Isaiah Thomas is an older guy. Who isn't on this Laker team? So if ever there was a fit for him in the league, it would be amongst these guys. So everything that I'm seeing, coupled with the fact that he's a legend without a ring, and you just want to see him be a part of this redemption story that we're putting together with other players like Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook coming here with redemption stories. Obviously, Dwight Howard. You just want to see Isaiah Thomas get a championship. And there was no path to that, just like a guy like Westbrook didn't have a path to that. Just like you saw a guy with Carmelo Anthony who didn't have a path to that. Now suddenly this Laker team comes about. The fit looks like, if there's any fit, this is it. Obviously time's running out. He ain't got a lot of time left. Just like everybody else on this roster, pretty much. So for me as a fan, I think the fit works. It's something I'd be willing to do. I think for me, I'm looking at it more so as the Lakers have other needs that we need to fill at the power forward and small forward position. We have to get better defensively in those areas. We could use another backup center because I don't want to rely upon Dwight and our guy Marc Gasol in that way this year. I like that we can start Dwight, and I know I can count on him. But having somebody in front of him at this stage in his career playing center, if is a good idea. Now we can play AD at the center position, even though he doesn't really want to play it. So that doesn't give us as much of a problem. We can just put small ball lineups on the floor and be very, very happy. So that's not a thing. But what we do need to do is just make sure that we're solidified in that role, just in case injuries start kicking in. So that's what I want to see us kind of pay attention to. I'd love for us to bring up Devontae Cacok to help us with that. But the waiver wire is still available. There's still some guys on the waiver wire that you can kind of help yourself to that will, somewhat address that. And Isaiah Thomas isn't one of those players, unfortunately, to say the least. But this is a storyline team. This Laker team is a storyline team. It's a legacy team. It's a team that's stacking as much older players as possible together, it seems, that can still help us. A guy like Paul Millsap is still out there. I think he's a candidate to be here if he hasn't already re-signed with Denver, which I think is possible. But, that's the type of thing that I think the Lakers are still kind of keeping their eyes open for. I don't think we're just getting old to be old, but I think a guy like Isaiah Thomas, who happens to be older, is a solid fit. And maybe it's the right move. The Lakers have an interest in Isaiah Thomas. It makes sense. It really does. If I'm not mistaken, Isaiah Thomas was a part of that Cleveland team. Wasn't he on that team with LeBron? All those different players that they just kind of put together with really no rhyme or reason. And then they traded them all away for like a bunch of okay guys, Clarkson and Larry Nance and that kind of thing, and then went to the finals and just got knocked off. Wasn't he a part of that team? I don't remember. But it seems like him and LeBron James may have played with each other in Cleveland for like a fourth of a season or something like that. I think they did pick him up. Pretty certain they did. So anyway, if that's the case, this would be their second go-round. Good for chemistry. A lot of guys on the Laker team have played with one another. The familiarity of this entire situation, someone who knows what it means to be a Laker, like I said, he's been here. So all that stuff just kind of falls right into place. No issues there. Isaiah Thomas, obviously a big-time Kobe guy. So that, he fits right in. He fits right in with the rest of this roster. So we'll see. I think there are smart ways to go. You know what I mean, as far as looking into to improving our roster. But Isaiah Thomas isn't a stupid way to go. So that's my opinion. My name is BDF44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.